Sandy, I don't know about you, but one of the most fun parts of beginning to plan a Walt Disney World vacation is deciding which resort will be your home resort during your stay.
Absolutely.
I recently stayed at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge in a Savannah View room, so let's explore the wonder and beauty of this incredible resort.
So I'm pretty excited, Wendy, because every Disney resort has a backstory, which always adds to the intrigue and to the fun and just to the overall experience. So the architects take that backstory and then they make it come to life. I don't know how the Imagineers do it,
I
but
know.
they absolutely do. And Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge is no exception. So Peter Dominic was the architect for the resort, and he said that Animal Kingdom Lodge was this great encampment that this Swahili king left to his son. So the son then continued to develop the encampment because his family was strong and important, and he needed the lodge to reflect that. So the encampment was built on a rock kopje, which I had to research. Kopje is Kopje, and it's a Swahili word meaning a little hill. It's basically just a little hill. And so this is a rocky hill. And they could easily defend themselves from this just in case of an attack. And there was a spring on the encampment as well, which was kind of cool. So I love that little bit of backstory. And I know there's more to it, but that's just a quick little snippet of it.
Yeah, I mean that I think having that small story though, like really made this whole lodge come to life because that's the whole part of being at this lodge is that they're taking you on a journey and it's like you are on the safari.
Absolutely.
And
You're on the savannah. It's beautiful. And now you know why it's there. How fun is that?
exactly, exactly. And the fact that there's a spring there, well, that's the pool, the pool in Animal Kingdom Lodge Jumbo House is
Hmm.
has springs in its name. So, it's all well, they both do now that I say that. Let's see. Uzemi Springs Pool is the one at Animal Kingdom Lodge Jumbo House, and Samawati Springs Pool is over at
Kidani
Kidani
Village.
Village.
Yeah, so
So
cool.
yeah, so
How do they
they
make it all
incorporated that
tie?
too.
They make it all tie in together, which is so for me that's the one of the biggest parts of Disney magic is that it is very much the whole thing is a story. It
Hmm.
is not just, well, here we'll put this attraction here or we'll put this resort here. No, there's a full story behind it, and I
Right.
love to find the stories.
And I think that makes them even more interesting, in my opinion.
It does.
So,
Absolutely.
so Animal Kingdom Lodge opened in April 16th, 2001. Now, many people, if you are a Disney fanatic, you are familiar with Joe Rohde because he is the
Hmm.
one that helped build Animal Kingdom. Now, he did not necessarily do anything with the lodge, except that he and Peter, Dominic, the architect, they would bounce ideas off of each other, and Peter would get Joe's input on things so that they made sure that the resort tied into what was going on at Animal Kingdom so
Right.
that it was a nice flow and they did an amazing job. I mean,
Hmm.
pretty sure anything that Joe even has a slight say in is going to be incredible.
So even if you're not familiar with his name, you should be familiar with his face. If you've watched
Uh-huh.
any type of Disney documentary on Imagineering or any of the stories, because that cool mustache is just, that's something to aspire to. Not that I could, obviously, but
Yeah, and he
but if
wears the
you're a
big
mustache guy
gauges
and he's
in
got
his
the gauges
ears.
in the ears, he is just a cool dude. He really
Yeah.
is. I love to hear anything he has to say.
Yeah, sadly he has retired from
I know.
Imagineering. That's
I
very
know.
sad, but best of luck to him and whatever he chooses next.
Well, he could come
Now,
back.
one thing with Animal Kingdom Lodge is that it is two separate resorts. You have Jambo House and then you have Kidani Village.
Mhm.
Kidani Village is all Disney Vacation Club, and Jambo House is part Disney Vacation Club and part not. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't stay at Kidani Village, if you don't have a Disney Vacation Club, because you certainly can. You can still book those if they're available.
Yeah, the
And
timing is just a little bit different for when you book and things like that, but it's still really really cool. I love the villas just because with a family it's so convenient.
oh my goodness, yes.
So it's and of course you're still getting the the beautiful backstory, the wonderful
Hmm.
theming, and you still have the convenience too. So what's not to love? I love Kidani.
Exactly. Yep. Okay, so knowing the backstory now, we can see how the architects and designers used the storyline to take guests on a journey and become a part of that journey, as if they were on a safari experience, just like we were saying earlier,
Hmm.
and staying at this luxurious encampment. So there are, when I was there, I kept thinking this is almost like a museum. And I thought, oh my gosh, I probably shouldn't say that in the podcast because people will be like, oh, that sounds completely boring.
No, but
But
I know what you're saying though. I know
yeah,
exactly what you're saying. It has that feel, but not in a boring way, if that makes
well, it
sense.
just has all of these you know, like masks or carvings or
Hmm.
things all throughout the resort. And it has the description so you know what they are and where they're from. So that's
Hmm.
very museum like, but obviously, you've got kids running around and it's still just gorgeous and all of that.
Right.
So it's still a great place to be. So I don't want anyone thinking, oh my word, I don't want to bring my kids to a museum. It's not a museum. It just has all these really cool artifacts in it. So
Well, if you
that makes it
take
great.
Disney and museum and put them together, obviously there's going to be kid things as well.
Hmm.
So it seems to me you could still say the two, and people have to realize, yeah, it's a Disney museum, so it's not dry and boring. Those two
Right.
things, Disney and dry and boring, do not go together. So don't ever think that that's the case. It is the word that I keep thinking of is immersive, and Disney
Hmm.
is so good at immersion. So
Yes.
when you walk into this, you feel immersed in this encampment. You're immersed in South Africa because even some of the words and some of the things that come from like the Afrikaans. And so
Hmm.
again, copy. I had to go and look that up. Apparently, it's Afrikaans. So just immersion. That's the big thing here.
Absolutely. And with that immersion comes all of these pieces that make you feel like you are actually in Africa. So they
Hmm.
did put a thatched roof on the top of the resorts. Now, obviously, for safety reasons, it couldn't be a true thatched roof. So they incorporated all of these other parts to it to make it look that way. But if you just look at it from afar, I mean, you definitely would think that it's a thatched roof, a real one. It's just up close you can tell, oh, that's not really straw. you know?
Right. Well, but at the same time, I think for their purposes and for durability, I like that they didn't go with straw.
Hmm.
So I think and obviously allergens because that could be an issue too for
Hmm.
some people.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
right, and so it's all there. You, I tend to try not to look too close. Some of the time, I do want to see how they've done it, like how did they master this feat of engineering,
Hmm.
and so I'll look at that sometimes. But when you first go in, don't do that. When you first go in, really look at it as the story and the immersion. So
Yes.
then later on, once you've immersed, then go ahead and try to find the feat of engineering that it really is. That's where
Hmm.
my heart lies. Is first let's immerse, then let's figure out how did they do this.
Right. And one of the big things that you notice when you walk in the lobby, of course, first of all, it's absolutely stunning because
Hmm.
you walk in and straight away you see this glass wall at the end of the lobby where you can look out onto the savannah. So that is just gorgeous in and of itself.
Hmm.
And then you notice this big thing over in a corner and nobody really knows what that is. However, of course, if you walk over there, you can read all about it. And
Hmm.
what it is called an Ebo Eagle. I hope I say that right. Mask.
I'm
This is
wondering
the
if it's
only
Igbo.
one. It's it's Eagle. Ebo
Okay.
Eagle. Ebo Eagle. Yeah, it does not look like that at all, but apparently that's how you pronounce it. And this is the only one that is known to be outside of the Igbo people of Nigeria. And so I don't mess this up. I pulled it up here so we can talk a little bit
Okay.
about it because it is massive. So okay, so it was the Igile was created by the Igbo people of Nigeria, and it stands about 16 feet tall and 8 feet wide.
It's massive.
This mask, it is a mask. It signifies an important event or celebration and makes rare appearances. And it is the largest mask in tropical Africa known to exist outside of the Igbo people. So the person wearing the mask goes through physical and spiritual preparation for the event. They go under the framework helped by followers because I mean it's so big they would have to be helped by people who are going to be walking beside them and helping to steady the mask. Then the Igbo orchestra, and it has drummers, flutists, dancers, singers. They prepare the crowd. And then the mask is preceded by a male dancer and followed by the orchestra. It begins its movement slowly, but during the 15-minute ceremonial dance, the Igile, it's always enforcing this image as the king of mask and a figure of supreme mystical authority. So that's what it's for, a big ceremony. And I mean, it is huge. Like thinking about somebody trying to wear that is like, wow.
It's how many helpers do they have to have is my question, because I feel like
that's
it's
what I
got to
want
be
to
a
know
lot.
too. It's got to
Like
be a
how
lot.
many people have to help this person get into that? Wendy, did you happen to read? Is it always a man? Is it ever a woman that wears
It
the mask?
just
Do you know?
it just says a man. So that
Okay, so it is a man. Okay, I wasn't sure if
yeah.
women were allowed to.
That I don't know, but I don't know if they used man as like a generic thing or what, but
Oh,
um
yeah.
you know, I don't
I
know.
was just very curious. So
Yeah.
something that I love is some of the cast members' uniforms,
Oh my
their
goodness,
costumes.
yes.
I mean, the colors are just insanely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And well, each resort does have something similar. I think these are my favorite across the
Mm-hmm.
entirety of Walt Disney World, because they really are just, they're colorful and they're beautiful. And I love that Disney likes to bring in people from these areas to work the different parts, because you have got to stop and talk to them. Because that's what I
Yes.
know, Wendy, you're with me. That's one of my favorite things is stop and talk to the cast members.
Yes.
And because they can tell you about their homes, they can tell you where they're
Mm-hmm.
from, they tell you a lot more about the resort. So I
Oh
always
yeah.
stop to talk to the cast members. Some of these extras that we don't like, for instance, the carvings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The carvings in the lobby, they know a lot more than we could ever talk about here. There are so many of them, and they actually have they're called cultural representatives
Mm-hmm.
from these areas. So definitely stop to talk about those. Those are
Yeah,
fun.
absolutely. And they're usually during the daytime. There is a gentleman who is working on a carving right when you walk in to the right. And
So
it
cool.
is fun to talk to him and ask him what he's carving and that sort of thing. And I mean, it's just so fun to watch. I mean, the artisans are just incredible. And also,
Absolutely.
when we were there, they had their drums, and some of the cast members were out there talking with the children who were, banging away on the drums, and uh, lots of great stuff
Oh yeah.
in Animal Kingdom Lodge, and wonderful, wonderful, as you said, cultural representatives.
They're the best part for me.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
mean, I
and do you know,
love the
like
story.
every trail, they call them trails that you go down to get to
Hmm.
your room. There is information to read. Like on ours, it was all about the masks. And so
Hmm.
you could read about the different masks in Africa and what they represented and all sorts. I mean, it's incredible.
So I don't think you could. It would take a lot of stays to learn all of the information they have for you.
Hmm. Oh,
Like this is not
absolutely.
just a one time and done. To be able to
Hmm.
explore all this resort is a vacation in itself.
Hmm. Oh,
I think you could
yes.
easily just stay there and never go to the parks and have a wonderful vacation.
Yeah. And that's really essentially what we did. We went to Magic Kingdom to go see Happily Ever After in the evening. And then the rest of the time we just stayed at the resort and hung out and did all sorts of things around the resort because it's an incredible place to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you were in, which trail were you in?
I was on Kudu Trail.
Okay, so your bed and everything, all of the furnishings in your room, do they, where do they have something in the room that tells you about the carvings that are on the bed and the headboard and things? Because these are handmade, right?
Right. These are handmade from Zimbabwe.
That is the
And
coolest thing.
it is. And when you go down the hallway, the doors are an incredible work of art in and of itself because of what
Mm-hmm.
is on the carvings that are on the door. And then, of course, you have the headboards.
Mm-hmm.
And then the furniture in the room is handmade from Zimbabwe. So, I mean, just it's incredible. And some of these headboards there, they have African butterfly masks on them, and it's beautiful. It really is stunning. Now it is dark wood, so some people aren't into dark wood, but it is
Right.
dark wood. But yeah, it's great.
It is. And you had a Savannah view room. So there's some rooms face the Savannah. Sadly, not all can. So
Right.
did you see a lot from your window?
We saw some things. You could tell when it was eating time because they would come. We were unfortunately by the fence line and
Oh,
where the cast members come through, and so we would know when it was feeding time because they would all kind of congregate. We
hmm,
didn't have the giraffes. We didn't get to see the
okay.
giraffes from ours, but we got to see lots of other things. I mean, it was still amazing and cool.
Right.
Hmm. Well, and another great thing about this resort is that it's in a U shape design. And this is
Hmm.
so interesting to me. So it's
So
called a
I know nothing
crawl.
about this. I'm excited to learn because I kind
Yeah.
of saw a little bit of what you're talking about, and that's why I was quiet. I wanted to hear you talk about this.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. And one thing about Animal Kingdom Lodge, like we were literally at the end of our hallway, and it can be quite a walk. So I'm just
Hmm.
warning everyone, it can be a hike to your room depending on where you are because they're in this U shape and it's called a crawl.
Hmm.
And the team used this design based on the arrangements of Zulu communities in which buildings encircle a central area, which is used to keep livestock. Obviously, the
Hmm.
animals that are in the savannah, they want to keep
Right.
them, from going somewhere else. So, this design is a horseshoe format and it allows the buildings to act as a fence while giving guests excellent views onto the savannah. And
So,
the orientation maximizes the sunlight on the site shining into the crawl with the U shape
hmm,
there in the morning to the pool during the day and during the evening into the lounge. Pretty
so
cool.
this just goes to show you how much research goes into
Mhm.
this. Every tiny little detail seems to be thought of. I think
Mhm.
that's fascinating. That is so like the if Disney builds any resort, it's years and years of cultural research and architectural research and even the landscape and I
Mhm.
mean obviously even astronomy to some extent as you're looking at how the sun is hitting everything. How what a monumental task it is to build a Disney resort.
Yes. I agree.
I love it. So this resort, like we said, is more than just a place to sleep. It is an absolute destination. There is a lot of things to do here. So I mentioned a little bit about your Savannah room. There are other places to view animals,
Mhm.
even if you're not in a Savannah view room. There's still a lot of animal viewing to be had on this resort. Did y'all kind of walk around and see any of these spots?
Oh, yes. Yes, we did. We went out on the overlooks
Mm-hmm.
and we sat on when you go walk around this resort, there are all sorts of places that you can go sit and look out on
Mm-hmm.
savannas. And so we hit a couple of those and would just sit there and enjoy the animals. Even though we had a Savannah View room, we there are different savannas. There are
Right.
multiple savannas at Animal Kingdom Lodge, and so since we couldn't see the zebras, we did see zebras. Since we couldn't see the giraffes where we were at, we went and looked out at another savanna where we knew that the giraffes were hanging out. And
Hmm.
so we enjoyed that. So, I mean, so many different savannas to enjoy and little spots. And I found a couple of new ones that no one was ever at. So, some hidden
Oh, that's
gems.
awesome. I love that. And that's another thing that they have thought of with this resort is now you've got the zoologists and the zookeepers who know
Hmm.
which animals should be where and which ones can mix and which ones should not. So again,
Right.
it's so much more with those Imagineers, and now you're bringing in the botanists and the biologists because
Hmm.
this animal can't eat this, so we have to make sure this vegetation is safe. It's just a monumental task. But so
Yes.
animal viewing. Go ahead.
And I wanted to mention that you can in the lobby at the front desk. There's a QR code, so you can go scan that and pull up the wildlife guide, so that
Hmm.
you know which animals are which. Because
Right.
when we first got there, we just went to our room, and of course we're like, what is that one? And so we had to go scan the QR code to figure that out.
That's very cool. So Simba's Clubhouse, you don't have littles anymore, but
I do
minor.
not, but
Uh-oh. Did you
Ashley,
go
who is
anyway?
almost 21, loves going to these children's activity places
Oh, that's
because
fun.
honestly, they're not just for kids. Like
No.
we played board games there,
Oh, that's fun.
and they had, I mean, obviously they have arts and crafts there as well,
Hmm.
and Ashley probably would have enjoyed doing some of those. There was the Nintendo Switch that was there that we played.
Hmm.
They show movies. So, it's a great thing to do, especially if it's raining. It's a
Hmm.
great place to go and hang
Yep.
out and do some family activities together.
From COVID, have they brought back the babysitting for a fee? Do they still have that?
I'm not
They used
sure.
to have it in Simba's Clubhouse.
I think that they have, but
Okay.
I didn't even look. So,
Even other, I've had clients bring their kids from other resorts to do some of the babysitting so that they can have an adult night out, which is kind
hmm
of cool
hmm
because Simba's
oh
Playhouse
yeah,
or Clubhouse is really the place to be.
it is.
Very cool.
It is. So, nighttime viewing, we were really excited about doing this because they used to do this, but it has not been
Hmm.
brought back, or at least I did not see it when we were there. So I was disappointed. They used to have the nighttime vision
Yep.
goggles, and you could go out on the overlooks and use the vision goggles and look out at the
Right.
animals. But I did not see them when we were there. And I've been twice now and I haven't seen them. So I don't think it's back,
I kind of want
unfortunately.
to ask because if they do plan to bring it back, because not a lot's not back since COVID.
Yeah. And I should have gone to ask that. But of course, we were just soaking in the time and having fun.
Right. Oh, I don't
So
blame you.
I didn't
I don't
ask.
blame you.
But
Did
they
y'all do
do
this?
have a starlight
I
safari
was going to
at
ask you about
night.
that. Did you do it?
No, it was full. We could not
Oh,
get
well,
reservations. That's one of those that you want to book 60 days out.
yeah.
Even if you're not staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge, you do not have to stay at the resort to do this. But you go out on a Jeep and you go through the savannas and you get to see the animals at night. So it sounds like a really fun experience. But
Hmm.
unfortunately, there wasn't availability by the time. That is a problem of living here in Florida because we decide last minute to go do things.
Right.
And so most of the
You
time
don't have that
it's
lead up
already,
planning, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I know they used to have a food tour, which makes me want to talk about the food there because I
sure.
think these are some of my favorite restaurants on property.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the only one that I have done so far, and I'm really sad about this because there's a lot, is Boma. And so I love Boma. You know what I find? I kind of want to do a whole podcast about bread because every culture, I know I'm crazy, but every culture has their own bread. Like whether
Right.
it be a flat bread or a big yeasty bread or a corn bread or whatever, every culture has a bread, and Africa has breads. And I love the bread sampling with the dips. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah. Now, are you talking about the bread service
No,
at Sanaa?
that's Sanaa. Yes, I have gotten to try leftovers from there. I
Okay.
have not done it myself. I tried leftovers, and they
Okay.
were still
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I mean,
Somebody brought them
Boma is
back.
amazing still too.
It
Yeah.
is. It's really good. Now, I've not tried the breakfast. Have you done the breakfast?
We actually did breakfast this time around. I've done the
Okay.
dinner like you quite a few times. So we all know that that is Carol Beth's favorite restaurant on
It
property
is.
is
She will
Boma.
tell you a lot.
Yes. But we did breakfast and it was so good. Oh my goodness gracious. That
Wendy, are
food.
you a coffee drinker? I can't remember.
I am not.
Oh,
No.
Wendy, that's where you messed out is the coffee. It's a Kenyan coffee, and oh, Wendy, it's so good.
Maybe I
I
should
had
have
their coffee
tried
at dinner.
it.
It's good. It's really good. It's good
Okay.
coffee. Like
Yeah, some coffees I like, but some are too tart for me.
now see, I do not like Starbucks at all. I can't do Starbucks coffee. I'm coffee picky, and that's good coffee. It is
Yeah.
really good. No, I had it at dinner. After dinner, I ordered a cup of coffee. It was so good.
Well, and one thing I do love at Boma is the fact that you can get the jungle juice, which is the pog juice.
Right.
And I love
So
that
good.
juice. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Yes.
It is so good. I guess I could digress a little bit, but the Wild Africa Trek, you do get to eat on a boma, which is the little, I guess the little overlook. A boma is, I don't know exactly how to describe it. It's a little overlook. And so when you're on the Wild Africa Trek in the middle of the savannah in Animal Kingdom Park, you get to eat there. And a lot of the little
Yes.
foods that they bring in come from boma. So you get the pog juice, you do get that. You get some hummus and some other stuff, but some of it does come from Boma. So the chefs at Boma actually curate this little lunch you get on the savannah. I
Nice.
want to talk a whole podcast about the Wild Africa Trek.
Oh yeah. Yeah. At least did that and said it was amazing.
It's one of the greatest things I've done in Disney. But yeah, so you get a little bit of that too. And I think the hummus is actually the hummus from Sanaa with the leeks in it. Really good stuff. So you get a little taste of all of those on the Wild Africa Trek.
Yeah, so one of the reasons that we chose to stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge, because we knew that this was going to be more of a resort stay, was because of the restaurants.
Oh yeah.
They're so good. So not only do you have Boma, which has, breakfast and then the whole lunch dinner thing, but you have Sanaa, which is another table service restaurant. Now, Boma is a buffet.
Right.
Sanaa is a table service restaurant, and that bread service is absolutely to die for. And a great thing about Sanaa is that you can sit and see the animals. If you're lucky enough to get a window seat, you're sitting right there and the animals can just walk right by. But the food is so good. Oh my gosh, so, so good. We ate at every restaurant in Animal Kingdom Lodge,
Oh, so you hit
except for
every one of them this
Chico's.
time? Oh, you didn't go to
No,
Chico.
we didn't
Okay.
go to
The cooking
Chico's.
place.
Yes, and I would really like to do that, but I don't think that Ashley would. I don't think that's her style, so I'm not going to spend the money on
Why is that? Why is
Chico's.
that?
It's more because Chico's is a signature restaurant. It's more, we call it fancy food.
Yep. It
You
is
know,
fancy food. And you do a lot of, you'll notice a lot of the people are, you'll still have resort casual people in there, but you'll have a little bit more of the dressy casual type dress as well.
yes. And a great thing about Chico's is they have that open kitchen so you can see them and watch them cook, which makes it really interesting. But I'm going there sometime
So
and I'm
this
going to go to
is you
Chico's and eat.
with James and then leave Ashley at Simba's clubhouse.
Yeah.
So you can have, right?
Yes.
So you take the kids, you drop them off at Simba's clubhouse. I don't care if they're 20 or not. Still bring them over there. And then y'all go and have your date night at Jico.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, even the Mara, their quick service restaurant, was fabulous. Oh my gosh, so
I don't know
good.
how they do it with those quick services. Some of the more, I guess, ethnically inspired. I'm going to try to say this right. Some of the more ethnic restaurants, the ones where you're getting what feels like authentic food. I don't know how they do it in a quick service. Like I think of things like Yak and Yeti quick
Oh
service,
yes,
right? Stuff like that. and they're as good as some of the table services I've had.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had this shrimp bowl and it was incredible.
That
It
sounds
was
good.
so delicious. And we ate there for breakfast one day and lunch.
That's
And
awesome.
I thought both meals were good. So I highly recommend the Mara if you're not going to eat a table service at Animal Kingdom Lodge. It's
Agreed.
delicious.
That's
And of
awesome.
course, we can't talk about Animal Kingdom Lodge without mentioning zebra domes.
And did you
I
partake?
am not a big chocolate person, and so this has it has quite a bit of chocolate in it. And honestly, I was so full. Every time we would want to go and order zebra domes, I'm like, oh, I'm not hungry enough to have a zebra dome. But it's got this mousse, and it's a liqueur mousse, and it's covered in white chocolate, and it has a chocolate drizzle over the top and on like this little piece of cookie cake. And people
Hmm.
just go nuts over zebra
So
domes.
both Carol Beth and I are chocolate people.
Hmm.
This is definitely for us. So if you don't want one, that's okay. You can try ours.
Yeah, because I just like it's not really my thing. But I know for a
That's
lot of
okay.
people, they
Hmm.
absolutely love it. So if
Do they
you're at
make
Animal
them
Kingdom
without the
Lodge, get a
liqueur?
zebra dome.
Do you know if they make them without the liqueur,
I
like a
don't think so because
non-alcoholic
I think
version?
that
Okay.
the mousse is it's like a you might know this amarula cream.
Amaretto. Oh, no, I don't
No,
know
it's
that.
not
What?
amaretto. It's like amarula.
Never heard of it.
Amarula cream. Yeah. Okay. Well, and I'm assuming that maybe that cooks out of it. I have no idea. So,
Well, I
um,
don't think. Do you cook a mousse?
no, I don't
That
think so. I've never made
M O
mousse.
U
So.
S S E, not
Oh,
MOOSE.
yes.
Yes, the dessert, not the animal, because I think you can cook a mousse.
Yes.
We've gone off the rails again.
I
We
know
do
we
this
have gone
often.
off the rails. But there you
That's
go.
okay.
So
I want a
that
zebra dome.
yeah, next time we go, you can go get you a zebra dome and I'll have
Works
a
for me.
bite of yours because
Okay,
I've had them before, but
you got to try.
it's just too much chocolate for me all at once. So
I don't think there is too much chocolate.
from the 3D TravelCast, this is Wendy Armstrong, and what I love most about Animal Kingdom Lodge is the animals, of course, because it's so different and unique from any other resort.
And I'm Sandy Barnez, and my favorite thing about Animal Kingdom Lodge is the immersion and the cultural experience that you get to learn as you're there. I am such the dork that that's my favorite part. I love to learn.